Good morning, everyone. It's good to see all of these faces here. I'm just going to wait another minute for people to arrive in this meeting. Okay, so today's session is going to be on self-inquiry. And in some ways, it's not much different than what we've always been doing here. Actually, it's exactly what we've always been doing. So the title that I put out is How to Do Self-Inquiry. And for some of you, you may see that there's a sort of cosmic joke in that title. So, how to do self-inquiry. Um, yeah, there's no real doing in self-inquiry. So, some of you may be here thinking I'm going to show you a technique or show you how to do it. And this is the crazy thing about self-inquiry. This inquiry is the one thing where there is no how to. And this is really the essence of what I'm going to try to point towards or convey during this session. So we come to the truth of who we are by sort of relaxing into the now, relaxing the doing mind, the seeking mind. And it's in that stillness that it is possible to discover directly who you are. So not intellectually, we're not looking for some knowing in the mind of who we are, something conceptual or analytical. But this is something direct, something beyond the mind. So we don't get to that direct experience of who we are by adding anything to the mind. I'm not going to instruct you to do anything with the mind. The mind is already doing. There's already this whirlpool of the mind in motion. And so for me, both meditation and inquiry sort of arrive in this same realization or the same space. If we can allow the doer to drop away, allow the meditator to drop away, and there's just being. So when we stop anything that could be called meditation, any activity, or any activity of self-inquiry, and we arrive just fully in this moment, as it is, without that mediating mind, without the past. And that arriving in the now really is it. This creates the conditions for awakening, or kensho, or samadhi. So we can't make that happen, but we can create these conditions. We can understand how the constant doing of the mind keeps us distracted, keeps us looking for something. Whatever that mind is looking for, whatever it thinks it's going for, is just something learned from the past, something we've learned from books or teachers, something we've heard, something that interests the mind, something it thinks it's looking for. But the mind can't know our true nature. A conditioned mind can't know. It's not the right tool for that investigation. So today we're going to do an hour of self-inquiry. I'll be offering some words at the beginning, and then we'll be moving through that hour into less and less words. For me, the silence is the best teacher. It's the highest teaching. It's just being directly here. The greatest teachers have all taught through silence, whether it's the Buddha, Ramana, Lao Tzu, Rumi. Rumi said, "Silence is the language of God, and all else is mistranslation." So today I'm going to be giving, these pointers, these words, but the words are pointing beyond themselves to this space of just beingness in this moment. So something brought you here today. So whatever that something is, an energy, an impulse, an inner direction, there's something that brought you here to do self-inquiry. So just feel that something for a moment. Just feel that energy that brought you here today. Something drawing us to realize our true nature. It's a natural impulse to become free of suffering, to come into union. To come out of a robotic life, scripted life. We're here today to find out who we are beyond the script of the character that we've been playing in life. So we'll just feel that energy, that impulse. It's good to have this energy. It's like the teaching of the hair on fire. We have to want to awaken like someone with their hair on fire wants a pond to jump into. There's something that comes alive, a fire in our being. So this is the way-seeking mind, or sometimes called beginner's mind. It's just an open mind. So in this process, or in this inquiry, when the mind thinks there's something for it to do or achieve, that's when things go off track, or we allow the mind to continue its pattern. So just be here in this moment with a don't know mind, an open mind, just feeling that aliveness. And in self-inquiry, sometimes people think they're going to uncover what's in the unconscious mind, to find these other dimensions of themselves, or maybe to purify the mind, maybe purify samskaras, release energy from old patterns, or maybe heal traumas. And this might be part of the process, it might not. And quite often, there's a revealing of all that is hidden. But we want to drop all expectations in this process. There's many layers or levels of this self-structure. So right here in this moment, we have this sense that there's a physical body, there's mental activity, there may be perception of an energetic layer, there may be a perception of a higher mind layer that comes through sometimes. Some may be aware of the causal or the bliss body. All of this phenomena is part of this field of change. It's part of Maya. All this changing phenomena, these different layers, or sometimes called koshas, or the sheaths that obscure our true nature. We just allow all of that to be as it is, this whole field of changing phenomena. Everything that's coming and going is part of this field of change. But we're going to inquire today into the one that is aware of that field of change. That beingness that is ever present in this dream, or this field of changing phenomena. We're going to inquire into that one that does not come and go. There's what the eye sees, what the ear hears, what the body senses, what the mind thinks. It's all changing. But who is aware of the mind and body? Who is aware in this moment? We spend a lot of life focused on what's happening on the screen of the mind, focusing on the images or sensations, sounds, thinking about those sensations. But today we're going to let all of that go. So that foreground of thoughts and images and sounds, whatever's happening in the mind, we're going to let that sort of fade. And we're going to start to become aware of awareness itself. So we're going to start to pay attention to, you could say, beingness or presence itself. Sometimes, in meditation or inquiry, there will be talk about paying attention to the witness. So we're going to investigate this witness together. And witness is just a word. We can call it awareness, consciousness. So where is this witness? There's all of this phenomena arising and passing away. But is there any witness that has a location? Does it have any form or quality? Does awareness have any form? Can we find anything at all that we can point to or intuit even in any way? What is this awareness? What is this witness? When we really look at this moment, there's just what is arising. And if we really investigate, this awareness is not a thing. It's not a thing and it's not nothing. Somehow it's not separate from what is arising. But it's not limited to what is arising. So somehow the witness and what is witnessed arise together. There is no separate witness, there is no thing. It's just what is arising in this moment, what is here now. So this idea of the witness, it's just a thought. Saying there's a witness is not adding anything more to this moment. It's just what is. So this idea of the witness is really, it's the root of the I thought. This false witness, this concept of the witness. It's just a thought. This idea of a split in duality of witness and witnessed, or subject and object. It's just a thought. Many meditation traditions will actually stop at the witness. In shamatha meditation, the goal is to rest in the witness. It's peaceful, it's tranquil. We detach from this field of change, detach from the thoughts. We can rest in this witnessing space. But even that is illusory. Because if you just come into the witness position, in this space of just observing, you'll always be going back and forth between the world, the supposed world of illusion, and then escaping into this peaceful witness in meditation. So it will be, like a ping pong ball. I'm at peace, now I'm in the mind, the turmoil of the mind, the whirlpool of the mind. There's this sense that I've got it, I've lost it. It's back and forth. So this witness, this apparent witness, creates this split, creates this duality. So it might be peaceful to hang out as this witness, but we want to go deeper. This witness is still part of the false I, the false self. So who is aware of this duality? Who is just aware? So not awareness of, not consciousness of something, but just awareness in and of itself, consciousness in and of itself, can you directly experience that one? Recognize the awareness that is always already present. It's like you're in a VR game in this moment. There's this avatar that you're playing. The environment is changing. But who are you? There's a consciousness here in the VR game. There's no form. So all form is just a property in the game, a property of Maya. The VR character doesn't care about waking up. The VR character is just following its script. It's playing the game. But who are you? Who's aware? Intend to directly experience this consciousness itself. So when I say directly experience, not via the mind, don't need to search or look for anything with the mind. Mind might do something to try to directly experience, but that's just the VR character. That character never awakens. We awaken from, I awaken from that character. So nothing we do with the character really matters. So that conditioned mind might do something to try to inquire, and it will always fail. It might get frustrated. The mind might get confused, might get annoyed that it has no role, might get tired. All kinds of phenomena can arise in that mind. It might become delusional. It might say that it's already awake. We just watch, just allow. Who is aware of that mind? Intend to directly experience that one. You are not that seeking mind You've never been that seeking mind. The mind that is seeking is the false I. It's character in the game. It's just made up of doing. Character is made up of goals, desires, and wantings. Or aversion, pushing away, resistance. That egoic character is simply resistance to what is. So the way to become free, the way to break those bonds is to just let everything be as it is. If the ego is resistance, we can't resist even that. We just add more resistance. So the great way is to let everything be as it is. No preferences. Any preferences within the false I. You could say that self-inquiry is just dropping preferences, being okay with what is, dropping interest in the preferences of the character, dropping the interest in thoughts, beliefs, concepts, dropping the need to evaluate this moment in any way. As Krishnamurti said, the dropping of all evaluation is the highest intelligence. Just be here. Without the past. The past is required for that evaluation. So this is the first part of self-inquiry, to intend to directly experience the truth of who you are. Just be here now. And the second part of self-inquiry is something that just happens or follows automatically from just being. So when we inquire into who we are, one of two things will happen. We'll either have a direct experience, we'll either awaken, or phenomena will come up in the mind. We'll have an indirect experience. The false I will present itself. So the mind-body will generate some phenomena that takes our attention. And this is the process. there's a sort of clearing process. All these thoughts and sensations may start to come up from the depth of the mind. And we just allow that process to happen when we intend to directly experience who we are. This clearing process is initiated. So just be open to anything that wants to come up in the mind body. Just allow it fully, experience it fully. So emotions, feelings, thoughts, sensations, pain, pleasure, laughter, sadness. We're not looking for anything, simply intending to directly experience our true nature, and then just allowing whatever wants to come up to come up. Without resistance. Just having a complete experience. Anything that is arising. Whatever is in the unconscious mind that wants to be released, it's only there because we, at some point in our life, had incomplete experiences. So we clear the mind by allowing these experiences to be felt, to be witnessed fully without resistance. We just stay continuously present, just being. You could say choicelessly aware. Or abiding as the self. Doesn't matter what words we use. The less words, the better. One of my favorites is just be. Just be. Just allowing everything to be as it is. We're not pushing away our thoughts. And we're not getting interested in the thoughts either. We're not getting caught in the thoughts. Both of those things are doing, both are activities. We're moving from doing to just being. And even that is not correct. The words are never quite right. We're not moving from doing to being, just recognizing the being that is present. Just relaxing our interest in this whole field of changing phenomena. What's happening in the mind and body in this moment? Is the mind in motion? Is the mind still? What's happening in the body? Is the body at ease? Is there resistance in the body? Just notice. Who is aware of the mind and body? Who intend to directly experience that one? Just allow the mind and senses to be wide open. Just allowing life to flow through, aliveness. Without choosing to focus or limit, without choosing anything, just remaining choicelessly present and open, without doing, without suppressing doing. If we try to not do, that's still a form of doing. Just letting everything be, just abiding as being, as I amness. While being absolutely open to what is arising. When we're completely open, allowing what is arising, there is an intimacy with what is. Just allow anything that is arising fully. Just let energy build if it wants to build, or let it circulate freely, or any feelings, emotions, old experiences may come, memories, whatever wants to come, let it come. Whatever wants to go, let it go. But who are you that remains? I invite you for the last few minutes in meditation or inquiry. If the eyes are closed, you can just open them a little bit. Just notice when you do that if the mind has any tendency to choose. See if it's possible to be here with the eyes open without choosing, without focusing on things, just letting the senses be wide open. Who is aware? Who is aware of this whole field of movement? Is it possible to directly experience the awareness that is always already present here? It's always closer than the you that you think you are, than that I thought. Awareness is closer than that I thought. You don't have to look for it. So this practice of self-inquiry is simply this, simply abiding in presence continuously. When we do our longer retreats, it's just this. Just continuously intending to directly experience who we are, which initiates this ongoing clearing process. So if you're really drawn to self-inquiry, to go deeper with this, it's just a matter of continuous practice, continuous presence. There may be uncomfortable phenomena that arises. The mind may generate all kinds of phenomena, good and bad. We just allow it to unfold. And we continue this practice until we know the truth, until we know who has been suffering in life, until we know who has always been free of that suffering. So I'm not going to end this meditation or inquiry. We can just stay together in this space. And now we have an opportunity to share together. So I'd love to hear maybe reports of how it went over this hour, or anything that's coming up. Sometimes there are questions, or there's not a clarity in the self-inquiry practice, or maybe insights have come up for you. This is an opportunity to share together. When we do this inquiry, it's beautiful that sometimes wisdom and truth will start to come through when we come to stillness. So it's an opportunity to just share anything on the path together. So maybe I'll start with Sharon. Hi, Sharon.
Hello, thank you very much, Dan. And I want to know if there's a way of asking where, okay, where can I get the motivation to get out of my false self? Because I have a life story of being a victim. And I notice that I'm very identified with it as a false self. And when I ask myself who is aware of that, it doesn't want to give it up. It doesn't want to go to that question. And is there a way of motivating myself to ask that better, or to just keep it going?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. So I would say, in this inquiry, it really is a process. So when we put ourselves in conditions like I would say, if you really want to go for it, put yourself in conditions of no escape. So a retreat environment will create the conditions, in an hour inquiry like this. It may take more investigation, or more of this container to excavate to the deeper levels of the mind. But in a retreat environment, eventually the mind's defenses will drop. It's just a matter of continuous practice. Eventually the mind will drop. So there's nothing in particular. It's simply this intention to continue to directly experience our true nature, just being with that intention. So, where does that come from? That desire to awaken. It's mysterious. We can't manufacture it. But the fact that you're here indicates to me that it's there. So I would say, yeah, if you're ready, just like putting yourself into an intensive retreat it's the best way that I know of. And on the Awaken the World site, we have the recordings of previous retreats which could be used, and it will just take you through the process. It's really just doing what I've been doing today, just kind of pointing, but it's that willingness to just stay in continuous practice. That whatever habit pattern of the mind is there, we can really come to see it, and it usually means experiencing all of those experiences that were not fully experienced in life. So if there's a victim pattern there, what does that feel like? Those feelings may come to the surface. So that's not always comfortable, but if there's a willingness to fully feel that, to fully see that, then you know, for me, that's the way to come out of that pattern. Does that make sense? Thank you. Jiazi. Hi, Jiazi. I think I have to, yes, there we go.
Hi Dan. It's been a while, and yeah, I'm happy to be here today. The meditation is really great. And when you're mentioning the pointers, and just now also you mentioned experiencing, and it came to me that when I'm abiding and just pure being here, I feel so much clarity, and also I feel like a lot of peace. And when I'm in that state, I realize that maybe like the duality, like the people, the society, or even people around me, what they think about is good or bad, or what is, relatively proper or, acceptable or not so acceptable, those things gradually fade away. And I feel like I have this freedom, and I feel like I have this inner pull towards something that even um, maybe like some people around me, they don't think that it's such a good idea, but I feel such a pull. But obviously, within integrity and morality, and not harming myself or not harming other people. So that is just like how I feel. And so I'm just wondering if you have any comment on that.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think that's it. There's when we're just abiding in presence, there's an aliveness that comes online, and that becomes our compass. And more it's not about what society thinks, what other thinks. These ideas of right and wrong. There's something beyond all of that duality, and it's life itself, that aliveness, that inner direction. And yeah, to me, that's it. And you nailed it. Like you know it's that evaluating mind. If we're not evaluating this moment, then we just feel that aliveness directly. And yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
thank you.
really. Thank you so much. Hope to catch up with you and everybody soon. Thank you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yes. Yeah, I'll go to Gail.
Good morning. Thank you. Whenever you talked about not pushing anything away, um, but I find myself caught in a thought storm. I have to get out of that. Is that not a pushing away to bring myself back to just presence?
Yeah, so at the beginning, yeah, that whirlpool of the mind is there. So there's yeah, it's a bit of a paradox, because the if we resist it, if we're trying to get rid of those thoughts, or resisting that mind in any way, that resistance is still a pushing, and it's creating more of that momentum of the mind. So even allowing the thoughts to just be as they are, if I'm trying to get rid of the thoughts, it's just another thought. So somehow we just become aware that this is happening. We just allow it to be exactly as it is, without pushing it. And And you know, bit by bit, there, like if we can simply be aware and present, you know, the presence is here. You know, it's like I like the analogy of the like a hurricane. You know, in the center of the hurricane is the stillness. You know, so we just allow, we just hang out in the center. You know, just observing, just watching, and just allow it to be as it is, without trying to manipulate anything. And eventually, when we do that, if we just continuously are just being, you know, just recognizing that stillness or being that is ever present in the midst of that mind, it is eventually, it's like pulling a plug, and eventually, you know, it's like pulling the plug on a fan, and eventually that fan will come to stillness. But there's nothing we can do, you know, except recognize that. Any doing will continue that fan, that whirlpool of the mind. Yeah, so it's just you know, abiding as presence is the way, and it can take a long time. You know, that fan, we've become habituated to plugging it in, and it's got a lot of momentum. So all I can say is it will wind down eventually, and it'll probably start up again and again and again, and this is just the way of it. But more and more we'll start to recognize that presence that is always there.
So if I'm doing a meditation and, you know, for 30 minutes I've been off in some thought storm, and then maybe intermittently 30 minutes of it is actual meditation,
Yeah.
or that's all I can do.
Yeah, well, and so there are, you know, at our retreats we do offer techniques as well for at the beginning. It can be very helpful to work with some of these techniques to sort of interrupt the habit pattern of the mind. So one of the techniques is, you know, if the mind is really persistent and it's sort of overwhelmed the meditation, so it's, you know, regardless of what you're choosing, it's like the story comes up, you're gone in the story. So you know, so when that's happening, one of the sort of intermediary techniques is to turn attention to the thoughts themselves. So you're using the mind to observe the mind. And the way that technique works is, you know, every thought that's coming up is either something visual, you know, so there's like an image in the mind, or something auditory. There's some sort of self-talk happening, or it's a combination of both. So this technique for interrupting that whirlpool of the mind, we just observe, you know, what's coming up in this moment. Is there, you know, so we can kind of tune into that visual field, you know. So right now, you know, you can think of any image, you know, think of an elephant, you know, where does that elephant appear in the mind, you know, or a tree, you know, there's a visual space where those visual thoughts are coming up, you know, or you know, the auditory space, you know, if you think of your mother's voice right now, or think of you know, Barack Obama giving a speech, you know, that the sound, there's a visual, or like an auditory space where that sound lives, you know. So we tune into those spaces, and we can just moment by moment use this technique to just sort of label what's coming up. You know, so, you know, a big juicy thought about, you know, something that's going to hook our attention comes up, but we just label it, you know, it's just visual or auditory or both. And if we continuously do that, you know, or sometimes there's nothing coming up. So when there's nothing coming up in the mind, we just notice there's nothing coming up right now. And we can just stay in that practice until the mind settles, because it can just overwhelm the practice. So that technique, it's a good intermediary practice to interrupt the habit pattern of the mind. It's one of the best ones that I know of.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, thank you. Hmm. Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, thank you, Dan. Really following on from the last question, I find I get myself distracted by things that I see. So I get like patterns, kaleidoscopes, beautiful colors, and they're so enticing. And then when I don't get them, I find myself looking for them and
Mm.
thinking, oh, why aren't I seeing them this time?
Hmm.
I mean, that's lovely, but I don't want it to sort of hijack the meditation, like you were saying. And I'm just worried that it's, sort of another expression of my ego.
Yeah. It's good that you're aware of that, and that it's like you've already sort of answered your own question, I think. So yeah, like when anything comes in the inquiry or meditation, sometimes when there's visuals, or there's like a beautiful energy. Sometimes people feel or experience energy in all different ways. Some people will see, fractals or whatever it is, colors.
Mm.
Other people, it'll be more sensory. It'll be felt in the body, or sometimes a combination of all of that. So it's just phenomena that unfolds in the practice, and the fact that you caught, the mind's preference is really important. If the mind has any preference, it can be beautiful so we want to experience it fully, so we don't try and dismiss it or push it away or anything. But we want to make that preference fully conscious, to just allow this phenomena to come and go. And the more we just allow it to come and go, the more equanimity we have, and we're coming into that space where awakening is really possible then. So as long as the mind is searching or seeking for anything in particular, that keeps the momentum of that conditioned self going. So,
All right. Thank you so much.
mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hmm. Yeah, I'll go to John Terrell. Hi, John. Can you unmute? There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Dan. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I think something happened, but Claire didn't go, and I think her hand was up before me.
Okay. Well, you're here now, so yeah, it's okay.
Okay,
We'll make sure. I'll make sure I get to everybody. So.
okay.
Mhm.
Anyways, my experience was I was rushed this morning. I didn't wake up, and so when I got into it, I was not into it. So I let it go and let it ride for a while, but I found myself very restless and very antsy, to the point where I really it was visceral. My body was wanting to do something, and so I got up, walked around, and just realized my body was starting to move and wave in different directions. And it started to kind of I became all of it. So I got outside of the me and just let the wave happen.
Mhm.
Then what happened, which was the most fascinating of it, was I started to tone and come with deep tones and very high tones and whatever. And I realized I was having fun with it, because I realized I was in my own box and none of you could hear me, so I could let it kind of go and do different things. And sometimes it was really weird and didn't make any sense. But I found that I was riding the wave, and the frequency and the vibration.
Mhm.
And when I found that, all the antsiness went away.
Mhm.
And in fact, this body went away. It was just the tone that I was riding from somewhere in the space,
Mhm.
which I thought was fascinating. I haven't had that happen quite like that. But the idea that I'm in this little cube made it a lot of fun
Mhm.
because I knew if I turned somebody could turn their microphone on, they could hear me, but unless I told them to do that, they wouldn't know.
Mhm.
So it was
Mhm.
kind of fun.
Mhm. Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, for me, what's coming up is this idea of kriyas that sometimes unfold in the practice, and they can take any form. And when sometimes the energy becomes free, it's like you described it as a wave. This wave comes, and I think this is really where yoga comes from, or all of these practices that have sort of developed as, people will sit in an inquiry or a meditation, and this energy starts to come, and it can move the body into different positions, or sometimes there can be sound that comes, or yeah, different phenomena unfolds. And it's really interesting, and it doesn't happen for everyone. For me, on my own path, it happened a few times, but not that often. But it's interesting, and in that moment, when it's a perfect opportunity for inquiry, because when that wave comes, that energy comes, it's like we're being moved. It's like there's no doer. It's just we sort of merge or dissolve into that. And so it's the perfect moment for inquiry, because then who is making the sound? Who is, you know, or if the body is moving, who's moving the body? Is there a sense that there's a me that's being moved, or am I moving the body? What is that? So that duality can collapse in that moment, and so yeah, it's beautiful when that comes up. It's a my thought on it is there's always this middle way to you know not be trying to do something, but not suppressing what's happening either, but to just allow it fully to unfold.
Great, thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for sharing that. I'll go to Claire. Hi, Claire.
Hi, am I unmuted?
You are. Yes.
Thank you. I have two questions. So the first one is when you said don't reside in the observer because that can also be a trap. I wasn't sure what that meant because I thought it was to be the observer. I wonder if you can speak on that. And the second question I have is that there was a moment in the meditation, so my mind was very busy with thoughts, feelings, memories, but there was a moment, I don't know if I fell asleep, but I didn't know when I disappeared until I came back, and I was like, oh, we're still doing this. um and I don't know if that's falling asleep or um becoming aware of nothing. And I wonder if you can speak on that as well.
Sure, sure. Yeah, so I'll start with the first one. Yeah, so there's an interesting sort of unfolding with meditation where, at the beginning, like usually in life, we're so focused on the screen of the mind, the thoughts and the sensations, and we start to come into this witness position where we're, instead of getting caught in the phenomena, we're just watching, we're just witnessing. And that's an important step, where we're sort of stepping back, we're detaching, we're not getting caught in the phenomena. But when we really start to investigate that witness, like what is that? When we detach from all the thoughts and sensations, what is that witness? If we really investigate it, it's not actually a thing at all, other than a thought or a belief. It's really this I thought that there is this witness. But when we really go into it and investigate it, we find that I thought, like what is that? We look for that witness anywhere. We're just sort of assuming that there is a witness, but when we really go into it, the sense of I, and we really explore that sense of I, we find that there's no thing there. And so we want to go beyond that I thought, that concept of the witness, because it can be just detaching from that whirlpool of the mind. It is peaceful, but it can be a stagnation in our practice if we're just sort of hanging out as that witness. So we want to make the witness conscious. We want to, who is aware of both the witness and the witnessed, because that witness and witnessed, subject and object, that is the fundamental split in the mind. It's that the mind is creating that duality. So when we really make it conscious, then witness and witness can drop away, and then there's just what is, and that's the direct experience. When that witness drops off. Mm-hmm.
But when we are not noticing the subject and the object, it still feels like I'm witnessing something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's like I'm not de-identifying from the observer. It doesn't feel like I'm de-identifying away from the observer. Like I feel like it's still observation. The only way I'm trying to understand what you're saying is that it almost feels like the witnesser can only feel itself when something arises. So that's when I notice, like, I am witnessing when things arise, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the mind will never understand it, so the mind that's trying to figure it out, has to become like a don't know mind, so the mind, the mind will get confused in this process, and that's a good thing. The conditioned mind will never come to a point where it's like, aha, I got it. This is it. I'm in control now. I can do self-inquiry. It's the opposite. The mind will fail to be able to do anything that we can call self-inquiry. And it's in that failure that we can directly experience the awareness that is present. When the mind completely gives up, so whether we call it the witness or awareness, consciousness, it's there's all of these, processes of mind. Like there's this witnessing part of the mind, so the witnessing part of the mind is consciousness of, or it's, the witnessing of, it's that part of the mind that witnesses all of these other processes of the mind. So all of that collectively, even that witnessing part of the mind, it's still part of the mind. But there's an awareness that sees all of that, and it's just pure awareness. It's pure awareness. So, can we directly experience that is watching the mind? And by direct, it just means, without using the mind. So there's nothing to do. It's when we drop the mind and it's doing and just trying to figure it out, all of that. Allow the mind to just be completely confused. A don't know mind is perfect, and then just intend to directly experience who's aware of that confused mind. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And for your second question, yeah, so did it sort of feel like you fell asleep? Is that kind of what happened, or did you? What was happening in the mind when
I
that?
just felt like it was going, and then, okay, you know how when like people take cannabis and like sometimes you're having glitches in like time or like perception, and you don't realize you lost a chunk of time or chunk of notice, but you don't realize when it's happening, you realize when you're back.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it was kind of like that. It was like I I realized I was back in my mind, um, but there was like nothing before that, and I don't know when it started. I just know when it ended, and I don't know if that's the mind quieting down or falling asleep. Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Hmm. So usually, like if there wasn't a sense of continuity of presence, usually like if we're continuously present, then there's this sense that I haven't gone anywhere, but if there's a sense that I just sort of disappeared and I came back, then usually it's sort of like a falling asleep, or there's like a something happening there where the mind, there was just like a break in that continuity. So
Yeah,
yeah, and it happens in meditation. Sometimes there will be just sort of a checking out at and then it's like we're back in presence. And
yeah.
so, nothing to do. It's not a problem. It just is what it is. Just part of the phenomena that can unfold. So
Thank you.
I'm just gonna close this window here. I've got a light happening on. Or actually, I can move out here. There we go. It's better. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah. I'll go to Susan. Yeah.
Hey,
Hi. How are
it's good
you?
to see you, Dan.
Good
Good,
to see you.
good. I have a question. I guess for me, the key takeaway and what I'm hearing from a whole bunch of different teachers is that it's really about sitting. It's about getting on the cushion and meditating and consistently doing that. But can you speak to the paradox? Because what I'm finding is my mind, I need my mind to actually bring me to sitting, but it's the mind that I'm trying to actually get rid of. So it's kind of paradoxical to me. I need my mind, but I want to get rid of it. And I was wondering if you could speak to that.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So what's coming up for me is, in Zen they say mind is Buddha. So mind, is all that is. That's all there is. The universe is the big mind. So So if mind is Buddha, it just means, mind is awake, which means it's not limited in any way. So it's not about getting rid of mind. It's, what we're doing in this process is we're actually opening the mind so that it's not limited to, my sense of me is not limited to this little mind here, this little character's mind, or, the Dan character script that's going, normally we think of my mind. My mind is, whatever's happening in the Dan character in this life. But when we sort of unhook from that script of the little character, then mind is just open. So then we can open up to big mind, and it doesn't it's not doesn't have to be localized to the cushion or practice. We can start to observe in life as well. When I'm obviously I'm playing out the script of that character. So we can watch all the time, every moment of life, like what's making this avatar move? Is it the script of that character, or in this moment in life, am I unhooked from that script and just feeling life is life itself moving, this being in that moment. So to me, it's the mind is not a problem at all. Mind is only, there's this pathological pattern of identifying with the preferences of this little character here, which is just, when we unhook from it, it's like a dream that I was this Dan character, but when I really inquire into who I am, there's an awareness that has always been here. And when we realize we are that, then, we're not limited to that little character.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, Alyssa.
Yeah.
You there?
Okay. Yes, I am here. Hi, Dan. Thank you so much for this beautiful guide. Since I've been doing the self-inquiry, I just want to share my experience today. That's all. I've been actually sort of struggling a little bit, trying to find the witness who is aware of the aware, and so on and so forth. Now, today I had a quite different experience actually, and thank you so much for that, because I think that as I went deeper and deeper in the meditation, I went to first of all observing the mind, all the funny things that the mind does that always surprise me and entertain me. But that I went into the awareness and going deeper on that, because I was struggling with all these witnesses, being aware who is aware, and so on. But today, finally, I think that I got into not the witness, not who is aware of being aware, but just being. And just being able to separate this I am from any content of experience. It was not I am regardless or in relation to anything. It was just being, just being. And I felt so glad after the meditation, because it's the first time really I have achieved that completely. So I just wanted to share this thing because for me was a big issue,
Mm.
a big a big thing in my path. And now, when I was actually just being, there was not really much who came out of that. That's what I wanted as well to tell you. But I was not expecting anything, nothing. I was just being. So perhaps I got just a little question finally, after sharing my happiness about this, my progress, I think. And is that the fact that nothing came up, although I'm not worried about that, I'm not concerned about that, I was not expecting anything, I was not hoping anything, nothing. Yes, but I just want to share that nothing came up. I was in this state of being, nothing else.
Yeah.
So what do you think that the fact that nothing comes up or
Yeah.
came up?
So first, in this moment, is being here now, in this moment.
Now, in this moment, I think that my mind has started to come in. Why? Because I'm saying I am happy. So I am connected my beingness of experience, which is happiness.
Mhm.
And then I think that perhaps that was not what I experienced during the meditation, but perhaps is only going through practice and more practice that I'm going to be now after the meditation, after the cushion, just in a normal life in which I am able to continue in this being without relating, without mingling with this content of experience.
Mhm.
Because yes, it is true that I was very intellectually aware for a long time ago that yes, who I am, but it was intellectually, but no experiencing,
Mhm.
which are two different things. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
And now I think it's a question of practice, and I'm going to continue practicing the way that I practice today, because for me today was a big realization, and to be able to continue within my normal life, continue being this being, but without relating it with, as I just have done it right now, oh, I am happy. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the key is there's a state, which, the state, the mind will chase the state and try and get back the state, but the states will always come and go. But there's a deep something deeper, which is it's here now, in this moment, being. You don't have to search for it or do anything. The mind, whatever that was in your meditation, that just being, without preference, without expectation, as you said, that's it. So now, it's just recognizing that being is here now. It's here in this
Yes.
moment. Yeah, and so the mind might think, yeah, I want to go into life. I want to hold, bring that being, how do I integrate being into life? I'm going to integrate it. But as soon as the mind, says anything about it, it says I'm going to integrate it or take it into life, it's that's the trick. And every mind is incredibly tricky, so the truth is here in this moment, the being is here, and what you recognized, what is has unfolded, that's it. Like there's nothing, nothing for the mind to do to integrate, or to make happen. And as you said, like it's important to separate that state of happiness or whatever the mind is seeking for from the truth of who you are, because it's not a state. You know, it's not, the states come and go in the mind. It's not a, you know, a feeling, an emotion, any of that. It's deeper than that. It's just
Yeah.
being itself. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now it has occurred to me something, Dan, that perhaps I should ask you, and is that it has been said that living our human experience, we cannot separate ourselves of feeling the emotions. But this, to me, is a little bit of a clash of what I have experienced today. Because although, okay, yes, we have to feel our emotions within this experience that we are living in this life, yeah, within our humanity, yeah. So this is really that I can actually, I just feel right now that I shouldn't hold on that thought because it completely clashes to what I have experienced today.
Yeah.
So what is your opinion on that?
Yeah. Yeah. Any thought is just another hook for the mind. So yeah, just don't, if you don't believe that thought and don't entertain that thought, then it's just being. Yeah, it's that simple. You know, when we drop the thought, you know, the thought, all these thoughts, you know, even the most incredible teachings from the greatest teachers, you know, if it's just on that intellectual level, it's, you know, even those teachings will you know, just keep us on that mind level. So all of those thoughts, we can just let it go, and it's more direct. The truth is direct.
Mm-hmm. So I think that one thing that I could continue doing, and then I'm talking not when I'm meditating, because I'm going to continue getting into this space. That, as you said, is not a state. It was nothing. I couldn't describe it in any way. I cannot describe it in any way. But being just in my normal day-to-day life, if happens in my life that I actually could experience, oh, I am upset because something that happened or whatever. So I think that the right thing to do, perhaps, no, I couldn't say the right, but the best thing to do is that perhaps go back into this space of just being and trying to separate myself from that emotion, because it's just a thought.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and even the words, you know, go back into, you know, it's just recognizing that that being is ever present, and then from there, you know, it's like if anger is arising, you know, who does that anger belong to? You know, it's the character. It's just arising. It's just happening, but you know, being is present. So is my sense of I, you know, wrapped up in that anger, that character? Like, am I angry? You know, we can really go into it. You know, am I angry? Is being angry? You know, how can being be angry? You know, if I'm just being, then the anger is just within that character. It's just arising and passing away. It's just another phenomena.
It's just recognizing that fully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the more we know truly who we are, you know, as just being, you know, directly knowing, then the phenomena can just come and go, and none of it is a problem then.
Yeah. 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 Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And I have to say thank you because I mean, I keep watching all the videos that you do. I unfortunately miss one a live moment that you went some weeks ago. I couldn't attend it, but I trying to listen, and suddenly something. Whoop,
Mm,
I got it. Suddenly
amazing,
I got it,
amazing,
and it's incredible
beautiful.
how it happened.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
beautiful. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Now there, you don't need to seek or search anymore. You know, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
You know, it's here now. So yeah,
Yeah.
just recognizing that which is ever present, that being that is
Yeah.
ever present. That's
It's
it.
just my being. And
Yeah,
the funny thing is that we all of us said all the time, I am, I am, I am, I am. All the time we are saying I am,
yeah,
but we are not really go deep into the real meaning of this I am. And I think that the problem is that with our education, we always attach it to something else.
yeah,
I am a lawyer, I am a doctor, I am happy, I am sad, I am this, I am that. And we put this attachment. So we get confused with this other side that is not really there,
yeah.
not really real, sorry. So anyway, thank you so much. Really, I really, this meditation for me was incredibly fruitful. Thank you so much.
Mm,
Thank you, Dan.
thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Mm. Mm.
Go to Julie. Hi, Julie.
Hi, thank you for taking my question.
Mm,
I'm new to self-inquiry and I'm finding a hook in that I definitely feel more mind, kind of like I'm failing or my ego is trapped
mhm,
and complaining.
mhm,
And it feels quite harsh. And so I'm wondering what you think about that. And I guess the second part of the question is, what do you think about, I mean, what do you think about dwelling in the heart
mhm, mhm,
versus the I am?
mhm. Okay. Well, I'll talk about the first part first. So that that failing, you know, that feeling of failing, is just something that the conditioned self has to go through. It has to fail. The ego can't find out who you are. You know, the conditioned self will never do something and achieve anything in self-inquiry. It's the thing that has to give up. And that, you know, for some people, that giving up of control is, you know, it's a continuum of discomfort. You know, some people will, you know, they can let it go. Others, it feels like a death. You know, it almost, it's that Sufi saying, you know, die before you die. You know, sometimes the little self really doesn't want to give up control, and it really feels harsh. It feels like it's dying. You know, and it doesn't want to do it. And it's because that momentum of controlling or seeking or whatever its pattern is, it wants to keep itself in the driver's seat, and it's uncomfortable, it's unknown, you know, when it lets go of the steering wheel. So you know, so that and it's related to your the second part of what you asked. So to me, the self is the heart. You know, the true self is the heart. You know, it's something to me. To me, the heart is, you know, what is beyond my little preferences. You know, my character's preferences. So if we're in the egoic mind, you know, it's my will, you know, my little will, what I want, you know. But when we come to the heart, you know, you could say it's unknown, you know, it's surrendering to life itself, so, or God's will, whatever you want to call it, you know. So it's letting go of those preferences, and that, you know, that is the self. You know, the self is you know, beyond that little me that is, you know, going through this process. How does that land for you?
It's good. I don't want to say I can dwell in the heart, but I dwell in my heart. So the exercise of I am seems very mind. Well, it becomes mind for me.
Mhm.
But can I just drop that? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
so can I
absolutely.
just dwell in the heart then?
Yeah, yeah. So when you say the heart, um, like when I say intend to directly experience, awareness, directly experience your true nature, or directly experience the heart. It doesn't matter what word we use, but there's something beyond the mind that we are, that we can just abide directly in that without using the mind, without any doing or any mediator in that. So if for you the word heart is what's pointing to that, then that's fine. It's just a word. But the direct experience is what we want. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mhm. Yeah. We'll go to Sonal. Am I saying that right? Can you unmute?
Hello, Dan.
Hello.
Can you? Yes, you said it right. It's good. My name.
Ah, good.
So I just wanted to ask a question, kind of in a sharing actually. The moment you started speaking, I had closed my eyes, and from then on, um, it I just went to a different zone. It and the time really passed by very quickly today. It just felt as if I had just sat down and started with the meditation. Um, but then at times in between, I would be I could hear your voice every time you spoke, but at times I would not be understanding what you're saying. It's just that your voice is there. And at other times, I would be like understanding your words. And then while that's happening, I would again fall into the zone where I'm just hearing your voice, not really understanding the words, but I was able to hear you throughout. And then, of course, whenever there was silence, there was silence. But the time went so quickly, and is that okay? Are we supposed to, when we are meditating, are we supposed to still understand, like, what you were saying? Or it was just like, I knew you were speaking, the voice was there, but I was not understanding. I was just in that state where it was all just quiet. So just
Yeah.
had that question, that is that okay? Or
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So the words are really all just pointing to presence and awareness. So they're pointing beyond themselves, So really, the greatest teaching, I think, the space between the words, the silence, between the words is really more important than the words themselves. They're just pointing you to that stillness or silence or presence. And so yeah, if that's where it's taking you, then we don't want to be just in the mind, trying to figure out the words. I love the teaching of the words are like the finger pointing to the moon, so we can get fixated on the finger and never make that jump to presence, to the moon, so that's it. Yeah, so did you feel like there was like a continuity or a presence through your meditation?
yes. So I don't know how to say it in words. There was a kind of awareness throughout.
Mm.
That's why when that's why I'm able to say that I was hearing you, because if I would have stopped hearing you, I knew I slept off. But I was hearing you. It's just that your voice was there, but I was in a different, I was in the state that I knew that the awareness was there, but the time just passed by as if I just sat down, and it just, when you, I have actually seen your videos and followed the meditation otherwise too on YouTube. But so I knew you usually say to open the eyes at the end. But when that came, it was like, but I just sat down, that kind of a feeling. So the awareness was there, the presence was there. It's just that at times I would just be hearing your sound, like just the sound was there, but no understanding.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would listen actually. So,
Yeah, and that's fine. In the practice, there are times where it's sometimes the presence and awareness it's like it's drawing us into itself. And eventually, that awareness is here right now. You and I we're speaking now, we're understanding each other now. That awareness is here in this moment. So eventually it becomes completely integral. Eventually it doesn't matter ultimately, if the mind is doing something, it's responding to words and evaluating, but that awareness, that presence is always here. It's what's taking in the whole show, all the levels of the mind, everything. So but it's natural in the meditation and inquiry. Sometimes there is sort of a dropping away of levels of mind. That there's a part of the mind that is the perceptual part that perceives words, and it's connected to our memory, and it's picking out things. It's that part of the mind that separates one thing from another. That can actually drop off. And in Zen, my favorite teacher Dogen said, meditation is the dropping off of mind and body. So it is a paradox. We drop off, that identification with these different parts. And when mind and body have dropped off, then all of it is free to just be as it is. So what drops off is sort of the sense that it's me, that my mind drops off. And when my mind drops off, there's no more me and other than me at the same time. So it all just sort of is as it is. So yeah, so that's beautiful. That's beautiful. When that unfolds, there's no doing in that. It's just happening. And yeah.
okay. So even like when I started, before I started, there was a slight ache in my tummy. But when as soon as I fell into that feeling of awareness, that I didn't feel that at all throughout that time we sat. And when I opened my eyes again, I started feeling it again. So
Yeah.
that was probably what you were saying, like dropping everything, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds like and that phenomena of time going so quickly. There is sort of, when the mind and body sort of drop off, there is just a timelessness, a timeless presence, and yeah, it's usually an indication that the mind and body have sort of dropped when we experience time differently like that. So it's just part of the unfolding, and so now it's important that we don't try to recreate that in any way in the practice as well. So just allowing it to be as it is, and yeah, just being okay with whatever comes in the next meditation is because it's always different.
Thank you so much.
Mm,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. go to Pamela. You there? Pamela, are you there? Unmute. Okay, I guess, and Alyssa, I see you have your hand up still, but do you, because that's the same Alyssa that we just spoke to, I think, so, yeah. So, okay, well, if Pamela is not there, I think, let me just go to my gallery view here. Okay, so I think we've gone over the hour here, so yeah, I'm going to wrap it up here. So thank you, everyone. This was a beautiful session. It's good to see everyone's faces here, and we're going to be doing this once a month, resuming again now for the next season. And for those who don't know, these are always recorded, so these videos will be available. We'll be sharing that in an email soon. And if you want to go deeper in this practice, we have our 7-day sessions, which are recorded. It's a whole sort of course that we've created on the Awaken the World site. So you can, if you really want to go deep into this practice, setting 7 days aside, and you can go through it with the group. We have, I think, about 60 recordings from the online retreat. And you can just sit with the group every day. There are teachings, pointers, like what we've been doing here. And it's just sort of a container for creating these conditions to really do this work, to really purify the self-structure of these samskaras. So yeah, so feel free to check that out. And yeah, thanks everyone, and we'll see you next month if you wish. Yeah, thank you.